Welcome on back to Workshop Wednesday. I'm Chelsea Bussemeyer. Thanks for joining me today in my workshop, and I have a special episode for you today. This is another pattern fabric pairing episode, but the pattern that Diane sent in is a fantastic example of why it's so important to understand fabrics and know what makes them different and how to best handle them in your projects, because it's not so much which fabric you choose for this pattern, but how you want to go about sewing it that will determine this end success of this garment. Our pattern today is the Easy Coat by Christine Johnson, and what I love most about this pattern is it's so classic and elegant, and as the pattern name says, Easy Coat, it is so simple and easy that you could really pair it with any fabric. And I'm not just saying that. Of course, since it's a coat, you would want to go with something medium to heavyweight. Something too light wouldn't really suit the design. But other than that, you could go with anything. So how do you pick the right type of fabric for this garment? Well, first ask yourself, what kind of garment do you want to make? Is it an outside wear coat for cold weather, so you want a really heavy, warm fabric? Do you want to just make kind of a sweater coat out of a knit fabric? Or maybe a denim coat? The look of the fabric will totally change your result. Here's a fun wool variation, very classic looking coat with the patch pockets and the belt. Here we have an angled flap on the pocket, and it looks like there's snaps added for the fastener. So if it's not your fabric choice and it's not the design details, because both of these are so open with this project, how can you ensure that you are going to love your garment and that it's going to come together well without any big oopsies? Well, you're going to want to align your sewing variables to match whatever fabric you chose. What do I mean by that? Well, sewing variables are all the things that can be adjusted for each and every project. That includes your notions, the techniques for how you piece the garment together, which is the production plan itself, and aligning and adjusting those to best suit your fabric's needs, and also the style that you're creating will make sure that this garment is successful and that it looks professional when you're finished with it. Now, we can't go over every possible fabric option that you could use for this pattern or the pattern variables that you may want to adjust for each one of those today. But what I can tell you is, if you know a fabric and you know what kind of techniques, what kind of thread seams work best with that fabric, then you've already got the information you need to be successful when sewing. Now, if you would like to know more about fabrics and how they react, the actual structure of them, and the fiber content, then definitely pop down to the description and get yourself a copy of my fabric workshop. Now, if you want to know more about how to align your sewing variables for your projects and you're not really feeling confident or secure in putting those together and how you would go about following through on a project, then reach out to me. Pop over to my Facebook group, send me a DM, and I'd love to connect with you and talk more about what type of classes you might be able to take with me that can really support you in moving through the projects that you sew and aligning your sewing variables so that you can also have success when you're sewing and enjoy the garments that you make. That brings us to the end of this Workshop Wednesday. I look forward to seeing you again, and until then, happy sewing.